Come get me, I'm drunk. There's a guy next to me, I don't feel safe. My wife texted at 9:14 p.m. when I was reading Goodnight Moon to my 4-year-old daughter, while her best friend laughed across the room. I dropped everything. That night was only the beginning. Look, I need to get this out because my brain is still trying to process what the hell just happened tonight, and I honestly don't know if I'm overreacting or if this is as messed up as it feels. So here's the thing, my wife Rachel, 32F, went out for what was explicitly described as a ladies' night with her longtime friend group. Just 3 hours ago, Claire, her old college friend, called our house laughing, saying, "Henry, I'm stealing your wife for some girl time at this amazing new rooftop bar downtown. Just us girls, no guys, and we'll be home in 2 hours max." I remember actually chuckling and telling Rachel to go have fun. "Go babe, I've got Lily tonight, you deserve some time with the girls." God, I feel like such an idiot typing that now. Come get me, I'm drunk. There's a guy next to me, I don't feel safe. That text came through at 9:14 p.m. while I was reading Goodnight Moon to my 4-year-old daughter. My hands started shaking as I read it again. And again. When I got that message, I literally dropped the book mid-sentence. Lily looked up at me and asked why Daddy's face was scary white. I somehow managed to get her over to our neighbor's house, bless Mrs. Henderson for not asking questions when I showed up looking like I'd seen a ghost and drove downtown like my hair was on fire. The whole drive, my mind was racing. Who is this guy? Why is there a man at their girls' night? Why does Rachel feel unsafe? I found them at this trendy rooftop place with those Instagram-worthy lights and overpriced cocktails. And there she was. My wife sitting slumped in a chair looking completely out of it, with some guy in a white button-down shirt who had his hand on her shoulder. His hand on her shoulder while she could barely hold her head up. Claire was standing maybe 10 feet away, scrolling through her phone like nothing was happening. I walked over trying to keep my voice calm. "Hey babe, Lily's asking for you. Ready to head home." The guy, this complete stranger, looked me up and down and said, "Oh, you must be the husband. I was just keeping Rachel company." Like he was doing me a fucking favor. In the car, Rachel broke down crying. She told me that Claire's new friend just showed up unexpectedly. Said Claire kept insisting Rachel try just one shot of some fancy tequila, then another, then another. Rachel usually nurses one drink all night, she's not a heavy drinker at all. But Claire kept saying she was being boring and antisocial. Then this guy starts getting touchy. Putting his hand on her back, leaning in too close, making comments about how lucky I am to have such a beautiful wife. When Rachel tried to move away, Claire actually encouraged it, saying she was being dramatic and that he was just being friendly. That's when Rachel texted me. I called Claire on the way home and you guys. Her response made my blood run cold. She laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Rachel's a grown woman, Henry. She should know how to handle her liquor and be okay around men. Maybe you should trust your wife more." Trust my wife more? What the actual hell? I told Claire she was no friend to Rachel and to stay away from my family. She hung up on me. Now I'm sitting here at 2 a.m., watching Rachel sleep, and I can't shake the feeling that this wasn't some random thing. The way Claire acted, the way this guy was so comfortable. It felt planned. Am I losing my mind here? Is this normal friend behavior? Because right now I feel like I don't even know who Claire really is anymore, and I'm terrified about what could have happened if Rachel hadn't texted me. Reddit, please tell me I'm not crazy for thinking something is seriously wrong here. Wife went to girls' only night out, ended up drugged drunk with strange man touching her while her best friend watched and did nothing. Best friend is gaslighting me about the whole situation. I'm questioning everything. Update 1. Holy shit, Reddit. I thought I was done with this drama, but apparently this rabbit hole goes deeper than I ever imagined. First off, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. Your responses gave me the courage to dig deeper instead of just trying to move on and keep the peace like my wife initially wanted to do. So here's what's happened since that nightmare 2 weeks ago. I reached out to the other women in Rachel's friend group individually. Not in the group chat where Claire could see, I called them directly. And let me tell you, the picture that emerged made my stomach drop to the floor. Remember how Claire said the plans changed last minute? Yeah, that was bullshit. Sarah, one of the core group members, told me she was confused when she saw Claire's Instagram stories from that night because Claire had told everyone the girls' night was canceled due to family emergency. Sarah only found out there was still a gathering when she saw the social media posts. Jen said Claire specifically told her not to come because Rachel needed space to work through some marriage issues and wanted it to be just a small group. Marriage issues. What marriage issues? Rachel and I have been solid, or so I thought. But here's where it gets really fucked up, you guys. Lisa pulled me aside after I talked to her and said, "Henry, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but Claire has been saying some things about Rachel that don't sit right with me." Apparently, Claire has been telling people that Rachel is unhappy in her marriage and feeling trapped with a young kid. She's been saying that Rachel confided in her about wondering what she missed out on by settling down so young, and that she needs to experience life before it's too late. None of this, and I mean none of this, has ever come from Rachel's mouth. When I asked Rachel about it, she looked at me like I'd grown a second head. I never said any of that. Where would Claire even get that idea? That's when Rachel remembered something that made both of us feel sick. About a month ago, Claire started asking really weird, personal questions about our relationship. Stuff like, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't gotten pregnant so young? And don't you miss the freedom of being single? And Henry's great, but doesn't he hold you back sometimes?" Rachel thought Claire was just going through her own relationship issues. She's been single for 2 years and projecting. But now it feels like she was fishing for ammunition. Here's the really disturbing part. Jessica, another friend, told me that Claire had been talking about helping Rachel see what she's missing and mentioned knowing some really charming guys who would be perfect for her. You guys, this was planned. Claire deliberately isolated Rachel from the group, got her drunk, and introduced her to some random guy. This wasn't a coincidence or a spontaneous thing. This was a calculated setup. And when I think about how Claire reacted that night, the dismissive laughter, the gaslighting, the way she stood there watching while that creep had his hands on my intoxicated wife, it makes me physically sick. But wait, it gets worse. I decided to look into this new friend of Claire's. Rachel remembered his first name was Marcus, and that Claire introduced him as someone who works in tech like Henry. So I did some social media stalking, don't judge me, and found him pretty easily through Claire's recent followers. This guy's Instagram is concerning. Lots of photos with different women at bars, always with his arm around them, always with them looking pretty drunk. Recent posts at the same rooftop bar where we found Rachel. Comments on his photos from other guys saying stuff like teaching them the good life and another successful night. I screenshotted everything. Rachel is devastated. She's been crying on and off for days, saying she feels stupid for not seeing it sooner. She's angry at herself for trusting Claire, angry at me for making her doubt her oldest friend, and then angry at Claire for betraying her. It's been an emotional roller coaster. The friend group is completely divided now. Half of them are horrified and have cut contact with Claire. The other half think I'm being overly dramatic and that I should let the women handle women's business. One of them, Katie, actually had the nerve to tell Rachel that maybe this was a wake-up call about communication in your marriage, and that she should examine why Claire felt the need to intervene. I wanted to throw my phone across the room, but here's what's really eating at me. I keep thinking about that night, about how comfortable that Marcus guy was with touching my wife, about how Claire was so calm about the whole thing, about how prepared she seemed for my arrival. What if Rachel hadn't texted me? What if she had been too drunk to reach for her phone? What would have happened then? I can't stop thinking about it, and it's making me crazy. Rachel doesn't want to pursue this any further. She just wants to move on and surround herself with people who actually care about her. But I'm not sure I can just let this go. This wasn't just friend drama, this felt predatory. The worst part, Claire has been trying to contact Rachel all week. Texts, calls, even showing up at her work yesterday demanding to talk this through like adults. Rachel finally blocked her number, but Claire created a fake Instagram account to keep messaging her. Some of the messages I've seen are manipulative as hell. Stuff like, "I was just trying to help you live a little, and Henry has you so isolated from fun, and I thought you wanted excitement in your life." It's like she's still trying to gaslight Rachel even after everything that happened. I've started documenting everything. Screenshots, witness statements from the other friends, even security footage requests from the bar, haven't heard back yet. I don't know if I'll need this stuff, but my gut says to keep records. Rachel thinks I'm going overboard, but after reading your comments on my last post, I realized that what happened to her was serious. Really serious. And Claire's behavior since then has only confirmed that this wasn't some misunderstanding or friend drama. This was deliberate. So Reddit, what would you do? Do I keep pushing this even though Rachel wants to move on? Do I contact authorities? Do I confront Claire directly? Because honestly, I'm scared of what else I might discover if I keep digging. Edit. Some of you are asking about that Marcus guy's Instagram. I'm not comfortable sharing his handle publicly, but I've reported his account to Instagram for suspicious activity. Several of the photos show women who appear very intoxicated in compromising positions. It's disturbing. Edit 2 just got off the phone with Sarah. She said Claire reached out to her asking if Henry has always been this controlling and wondering if Rachel seems afraid of him. Claire is now trying to flip the narrative and make me the bad guy. This woman is unbelievable. Update 2, I don't even know how to start this, you guys. Remember how I said I was scared of what I'd discover if I kept digging? Well, I was right to be scared. Because what I found out about Claire and that night, it's so much worse than just a manipulative friend trying to help my wife live a little. This was business. Calculated, paid business. I'm literally shaking as I type this. So after my last update, I couldn't let it go. Rachel begged me to drop it, said she just wanted to heal and move forward, but something in my gut kept screaming that there was more to this story. The way Claire acted, the way that Marcus guy was so comfortable, the level of planning involved. It felt bigger than just one person's twisted idea of friendship. I was right. Last week, I got a message from someone I'd never heard of, let's call her Emma. She'd seen my posts, apparently my story got shared in some local Facebook groups, and said she needed to talk to me about Claire and what she does to women. We met at a coffee shop, and Emma told me a story that made my blood run cold. 2 months ago, Emma was going through a rough patch with her boyfriend. Claire, who she barely knew through mutual friends, suddenly became super interested in being her support system. Started taking her out, buying her drinks, introducing her to fun new people who could help her see her worth. One of those people was Marcus. Emma said Claire positioned Marcus as this successful entrepreneur who was great at helping women gain confidence. Claire arranged for them to meet at, you guessed it, the same rooftop bar where I found Rachel. Emma got completely wasted, way more than she usually drinks, and woke up the next morning in Marcus's apartment with no memory of how she got there. Her phone was dead, she was missing her underwear, and Marcus was making breakfast like nothing happened. When she confronted Claire about it, Claire said she was being dramatic, and that she obviously had a good time since she went home willingly. Emma never reported it because she wasn't sure what exactly happened, and Claire convinced their mutual friends that Emma was spiraling and making up stories for attention. But here's the part that made me want to vomit. Emma started doing her own digging after our conversation, and she found 3 other women with almost identical stories. Same pattern. Claire befriends them during vulnerable moments, isolates them from their real support systems, gets them drunk, introduces them to Marcus or guys like him. One of the women, Ashley, actually remembered more details than the others. She said Claire was taking photos throughout the night, especially when she was too drunk to object. And get this, Ashley later found some of those photos posted on a private Instagram account that she wasn't supposed to see. The photos were tagged with captions like "another satisfied client" and "delivery complete." Delivery complete. You guys, I think Claire has been trafficking women to men like Marcus. Not in the traditional sense maybe, but definitely arranging for vulnerable, intoxicated women to be accessible to predators and getting paid for it. When I told Emma about the client comment that one of Rachel's friends mentioned in my last update, her face went white. She said Marcus had referred to Claire as his business partner that night. I felt like I was going to throw up, but it gets worse. Emma and I decided to dig deeper into Marcus's social media and online presence. We found a private forum, I won't say where, but it exists, where men share success stories about hooking up with married or committed women. Marcus is a frequent poster. One of his recent posts, dated 3 days after the incident with Rachel, describes picking up a beautiful married mom who was perfectly prepared for me by my connection. He talks about how she was, exactly as advertised, vulnerable, isolated from her support system, and perfectly drunk. The post includes details that match Rachel's experience exactly, down to her wearing a blue dress that night and mentioning she has a 4-year-old daughter. I screenshot everything before the post got deleted. Rachel still doesn't know about this part. She's been doing so well in therapy, rebuilding her confidence, reconnecting with friends who actually care about her. I don't know if I should tell her that the night was even more calculated than we thought, but I couldn't just sit on this information. I contacted a lawyer. Then I contacted the police. Turns out, there's already an open investigation into Marcus for suspected sexual assault. 3 women have filed reports in the past year, all with similar stories about meeting him through female friends who got them extremely intoxicated first. The detective I spoke with said they've been trying to identify his recruiter, but the women were always too drunk to remember details about the woman who introduced them. Until now, Emma and Ashley agreed to give statements. I provided all the screenshots, social media evidence, and testimony from Rachel's friend group about Claire's manipulative behavior. Yesterday, the police interviewed Claire. I don't know all the details yet, but I know she lawyered up immediately. And this morning, I got a threatening text from an unknown number saying I should mind my own business before something happens to my family. I've forwarded everything to the detective and we're taking precautions. Rachel finally knows the full scope of what happened. I had to tell her about the investigation, and she's furious that I dragged her into something dangerous. But you guys, I couldn't let Claire keep doing this to other women. I couldn't let Marcus keep victimizing people, even if it means my marriage is strained right now. The friend group has completely imploded. The women who initially supported Claire are now horrified and apologizing for not believing us. Katie actually called Rachel crying yesterday, saying she found evidence that Claire had been asking invasive questions about her relationship too. Rachel is scared I'm scared, but I think we did the right thing. The detective said this could take months to build a solid case, but with multiple victims coming forward and the digital evidence we've gathered, they're optimistic about getting justice. I never imagined that a girls' night out would uncover a whole predatory operation, but here we are. Emma asked me to tell you guys something. If you have a friend who suddenly becomes very interested in your relationship problems and starts pushing you to live a little or meet new people during vulnerable times, be careful, trust your instincts. And if someone ever makes you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, text someone immediately, like Rachel did for me. That text saved her from something much worse than I initially realized. Update 3. Reddit, I honestly thought I was done with this story. After my last update, I figured we'd wait for the legal process to play out, Rachel and I would heal, and eventually this would just be a terrible memory. I was wrong. The investigation wrapped up last week, and the arrests have been made. But the final twist in this whole nightmare is something I never saw coming, and it's taken me days to process enough to even write this update. First, the good news: Claire and Marcus are both in custody. The DA's office filed charges including conspiracy, facilitation of sexual assault, and trafficking. Turns out our case was the missing piece they needed to connect a network that spanned multiple cities and dozens of victims. Emma was right. This wasn't just about one predator and his recruiter. This was an organized operation. Marcus and at least 4 other men were paying Claire and 2 other women, who got arrested in Dallas and Houston, to identify and deliver vulnerable women. They had a whole system: fake friendship, isolation tactics, targeted drugging, documentation for blackmail, and even a private online marketplace where men could request specific types of women. The photos Claire was taking weren't just trophies. They were proof of delivery for payment. Rachel's case was classified as interrupted delivery in their internal communications. Apparently, my quick response that night cost them a $3,000 payment. $3,000. That's what Claire thought my wife was worth. But here's the twist that has me completely fucked up. During the investigation, detectives found communication logs between Claire and someone who was giving her detailed information about potential targets. Someone who knew intimate details about these women's relationships, their vulnerabilities, their schedules. Someone with access to private conversations and personal information. That someone was Dr. Patricia Williams, Rachel's therapist. The same therapist Rachel had been seeing for postpartum anxiety after Lily was born. The same therapist who helped her through a rough patch in our marriage last year. The same therapist who encouraged her to maintain friendships and not become isolated as a new mother. Dr. Williams was feeding Claire information from therapy sessions. When Rachel found out, she collapsed. Just completely broke down. This woman had been her safe space for 2 years. Rachel told her everything: our fights, our financial struggles, her insecurities about motherhood, her fears about losing her identity. All of it got passed along to Claire to use as manipulation material. The police found emails where Dr. Williams sent Claire detailed vulnerability assessments of her patients, including Rachel. Things like currently experiencing marital stress, likely to respond well to validation and attention from new sources, and low alcohol tolerance, history of people pleasing, easily manipulated through guilt. It was clinical, cold. Like Rachel was just a psychological profile to be exploited. Dr. Williams had been referring vulnerable patients to Claire for friendship support for over 3 years. At least 12 women were targeted this way. She was getting paid $500 per successful introduction. Rachel's entire friendship with Claire was built on information stolen from therapy sessions. When we confronted this in couples therapy with a different therapist, obviously, Rachel said everything made sense now. How Claire always seemed to know exactly what to say. How she appeared in Rachel's life right when she was struggling most. How she knew exactly which buttons to push to make Rachel feel guilty or insecure. She knew all my triggers because she had the fucking manual, Rachel said through tears. The betrayal goes so deep. It's not just that her best friend tried to have her assaulted, it's that the relationship itself was fake from the beginning. Claire never cared about Rachel. She was just a mark from day one. Dr. Williams lost her license, obviously. She's facing multiple felony charges. The state licensing board is reviewing every patient she's had in the past 5 years. But the damage is done. Rachel doesn't trust therapists anymore. She barely trusts me sometimes. She's paranoid about making new friends. She questions every conversation, wondering if someone is gathering information to use against her. The good news is that the other victims have been incredibly supportive. Emma, Ashley, and the others have formed this informal support group. They call each other survivors instead of victims, and seeing their strength has helped Rachel realize she's not alone in this. Marcus pleaded guilty and got 15 years. Claire is fighting the charges, but with the evidence we gathered plus testimony from over a dozen victims, her lawyer is pushing for a plea deal. Dr. Williams is likely looking at prison time too. The civil lawsuits are ongoing. Our lawyer says we have a strong case for damages against all 3 of them. But honestly, the money doesn't matter. What matters is that Rachel is starting to heal. Real healing this time, not the fake support she was getting from Claire. We're in real marriage counseling now with someone who came highly recommended and has been vetted thoroughly. Rachel is slowly learning to trust again. Lily doesn't know the details, but she knows Aunt Claire isn't our friend anymore and that we have better friends now. The friend group that wasn't involved has rallied around us. Sarah and Jen have been amazing. They've helped Rachel see that not everyone has hidden agendas, that real friendship does exist. And you know what? Rachel is stronger now than she was before any of this happened. She's setting boundaries. She's trusting her instincts. She's not people-pleasing her way through life anymore. Last week she told me, I survived something that was designed to destroy me. I survived people who literally studied my weaknesses and tried to use them against me. If I can survive that, I can survive anything. She's right. This whole experience taught us that evil can be incredibly sophisticated. It's not always obvious predators in dark alleys. Sometimes it's your therapist selling your secrets. Sometimes it's your best friend who never actually liked you. Sometimes it's a whole network of people who profit from women's pain. But it also taught us that good people exist too. The friends who believed us. The detective who took this seriously. The other survivors who shared their stories. Emma, who was brave enough to reach out to a stranger. All of you on Reddit who validated our reality when everyone else was telling us to move on. If you're reading this and something feels off about a friendship or a situation, trust your gut. If someone suddenly appears in your life during a vulnerable time and starts pushing you toward things that don't feel right, question it. And if you're in therapy, know that what happened to Rachel is extremely rare. Don't let our story scare you away from getting help if you need it. Just do your research, check credentials, and trust your instincts if something feels wrong. Rachel wants me to end this by saying thank you to everyone who supported us through this journey. Your comments kept me sane during the darkest parts of this investigation. We're not just surviving anymore. We're actually thriving. And Claire, she lost everything. Her reputation, her freedom, her business, and any chance of ever hurting another woman again. That feels like justice to me. Final edit, this will be my last update on this situation. We're moving forward with our lives and focusing on healing. The legal proceedings will continue, but our part in the investigation is done. To anyone who's experienced something similar, you're not crazy, it's not your fault, and you deserve justice. Keep fighting. And to my wife, if you're reading this, I'm proud of how far you've come. You're the strongest person I know.